Welcome back to Building Character, where we figure out how to play as your favorite fictional characters in Dungeons & Dragons. Join the Patreon to vote for Edward or Jacob from Twilight, and like and subscribe for better snacks next time you play. Maybe. Today we're building Amethyst from Steven Universe, the fun mom, partially because she likes partying and eating food, but also because she can transform into virtually anything, so she can be a fun mom, a fun bus, a fun jackhammer, or even a fun fax machine. Fax machines can be very fun. They make horrible noises, they are a form of communication completely outdone by email, and they're big and heavy. That's fun, otherwise there'd be no point in them existing. Let's start off with our goals for this build. First, we need to be malleable with the ability to turn into literally anything. Shouldn't be too hard. Next, we need a whip, something with a little reach to make up for the fact that we're a little bit short. Finally, we'll get a bit of regeneration. Turns out being a rubber woman helps you bounce back quickly. For stats, we're using the standard point array from the player's handbook. Roll for stats if you want. It's just a little chaotic, but so are you, and that's charming. So we'll start with charisma for frantic fun. Constitution next. If you want to regenerate, you need a pool of health to pull from. Strength after that. You're super strong after all. The modifier should be positive. Follow that up with dexterity. Just because you can take hits doesn't mean you have to. Wisdom is a bit low. All the gems have issues reading people, but we'll dump intelligence. You don't seem like the type to settle down with a good book. If you want to bend and snap and you're not in Legally Blonde the musical, I recommend rolling up a changeling. Changelings start with +2 charisma and actually +3 if you want it, which will be very nice for you. You get to change your appearance as an action. Now you can only use this to look like another humanoid about the same height as you. You can do it at will, though it doesn't change your clothing just yet. We'll get something for that later. You get 2 free skills like persuasion and deception, depending on how malleable the truth is feeling, and we'll grab the athlete background for athletics and acrobatics skills. You've got some stellar physical abilities. Interstellar, actually, you're from space. Wait, no, you're not. But the people who made you were from space. Speaking of, since your powers were baked into you in kindergarten by aliens, we'll make you a warlock, specifically a celestial warlock. Everyone thinks celestials are angels, but a celestial body is something from outer space, so boom, gems are celestial if you want them to be. Get flexible. Grab Arcana and History for your skills of choice. You do understand the lore after all. As a celestial concoction, you get the Light cantrip to see in the dark with your dumb changeling eyes, the Sacred Flame cantrip to shoot a laser that deals 1d8 radiant damage to a creature that fails a dexterity saving throw, ignoring cover. You don't really have lasers, but we're actually here for Healing Lights, which will let you heal yourself or allies as a bonus action with an amount of d6s equal to 1 plus your Warlock level, and you can spend an amount equal to your Charisma modifier per turn. I'd use this to give yourself some powerful regeneration. For the cantrips you choose, Blade Ward gives you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for a round as an action from weapon attacks for some gem durability, when you focus really hard on being hard. Thunderclap lets you force a Constitution saving throw on creatures within 5 feet of you, dealing 1d6 thunder damage to those that fail, to pound the ground with some super sound. For your first level spells, Cure Wounds will give you more regeneration, healing 1d8 plus your Charisma modifier as an action, giving you even more healing fun. Expeditious Retreat lets you dash as a bonus action for up to 10 minutes depending on your concentration. There's no rule that says you don't roll into a ball like Sonic the Hedgehog, so obviously you have to roll into a ball like Sonic the Hedgehog. Second level warlocks get invocations, special gemmy things to make you cooler than the humans you're protecting. Mask of Many Faces lets you cast Disguise Self at will, which is sort of like what you already have from Changeling, except you can also change your outfit, so it's even better. Armor of Shadows lets you cast Mage Armor at will, letting you make your AC 13 plus your Dexterity modifier when you're not wearing armor, so you don't have to worry about changing your size to fit in something more metallic. For this level's spell, Protection from Evil and Good protects a creature from aberrations, celestials, elementals, fiends, fae, and undead. The baddies can't charm, possess, or frighten your buddy, and the baddies have disadvantage on attack rolls against them as well. You could use it on yourself if you're fighting a bunch of gems, classified as celestials of course. This is really good. Third level warlocks can choose a Pact boon, a little gift to let you polish some rocks. To death! Pact of the Blade lets you conjure a melee weapon at will. You're proficient with it, so whips are now an option, and since it's magical, you can ignore resistances to non-magical damage. The main benefit of the whip is reach, letting you attack from 10 feet away instead of 5 if you want to keep your distance. You can also learn second level spells like Lesser Restoration, letting you remove an effect of disease, blindness, deafness, or poisoning on a creature, which could be helpful if you plan on eating things that aren't necessarily edible. Fourth level warlocks get an ability score improvement. Let's actually start with our dexterity modifier, even though capping off our charisma modifier would be pretty easy. For this level spell, Hold Person forces a wisdom saving throw on a humanoid. Failing that, they're paralyzed for up to a minute depending on your concentration. Wrap them up and help Garnet, Pearl, and Shaggy get their critical hits off. This is assuming there's a Steven Universe Scooby-Doo crossover episode. I'd watch it. Fifth level warlocks get another invocation, and if you're planning on making your whip go swish swish, Thirsting Blade will help you gish. Making 2 attacks with your packed weapon instead of 1, you're a really solid fighter, both metaphorically and literally you're made of rocks. That's solid. For this level's spell, Counterspell lets you shut down spells of 3rd level or lower as a reaction automatically, and higher level spells with a charisma check of 10 plus the spell's level, so now even fireballs can't break you down. 6th level Celestial Warlocks get Radiant Soul, giving you resistance to radiant damage, and you can add your charisma modifier to the damage of 1 radiant or fire spell per round. The resistance is the most in character part here, there's a lot of lasers in space. Or you could just use Spirit Shroud, letting you add a d6 of extra radiant damage to your attacks. You can slow creatures within 10 feet of you down by 10 feet, and mess up any gems regeneration, preventing them from healing further round. It lasts for up to 10 minutes depending on your concentration, and basically bumps your damage die with the whip up to a d10. It's technically a d6 plus a d4, but that's 10. 7th level Warlocks can learn 4th level spells. Banishment lets you force a charisma saving throw on a creature. Failing that, they're sent to a harmless demiplane or back to their plane of origin for a minute depending on your concentration. If you hold it up the whole time, they actually stay in their home plane, helping you keep the gems out of each city. For this level's invocation, Sculptor of Flesh lets you cast Polymorph with a Warlock spell slot, transforming into a beast of challenge rating equal to or lower than their current level. If they want to resist, they can make a wisdom saving throw. Honestly, just use it on yourself. Eventually, you can use it to turn into a giant ape. That's awesome. 8th level Warlocks get another ability score improvement. Keep getting that dexterity modifier up. It will help with your whips and your AC, just overall better fighting stuff. For this level's spell, Shatter lets you force a Constitution saving throw on creatures in a 10-foot radius sphere, dealing 5d8 thunder damage to those that fail, half as much to those that succeed. It's normally 3d8 thunder damage, but Warlock spell slots get cast at the highest level automatically, so since it's normally a 2nd level slot, you get some extra oomph. This is really great on creatures made of inorganic material since they have disadvantage on the saving throw. You fight space rocks. Those are inorganic, in my opinion. 9th level Warlocks get another invocation, like Otherworldly Leap, to let you cast a jump at will, tripling your jump distance. If you can't fly, you might as well bounce around. For this level's spell, Hold Monster is Hold Person without the humanoid restriction, so if your DM says that the alien rocks aren't humanoids, you'll still be able to wrap them up. And since it's a Warlock spell slot, it's actually not using a higher spell slot than Hold Person would. 10th level Celestial Warlocks get Celestial Resistance, giving you temporary HP equal to your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier, and up to 5 creatures of your choice get half of that. The gems work better together, so now Lazuli, Peridot, Garnet, Pearl, and Alpha Sapphire get to be a little more healthy. For this level spell, Greater Restoration removes an effect of Charming, Petrification, a curse, or a reduction to an ability score or HP. You have so many ways to recover and remove effects, you're always going to be fighting in tip-top shape. 11th level Warlocks get a 6th level Mystic Arcanum spell, which is a spell you can cast once per long rest instead of per short rest like your other spells. Tasha's Otherworldly Guise gives you a 40-foot flying speed. You can use your Charisma modifier for your attack and damage rolls. You get +2 AC and immunity to poison and fire damage or radiant and necrotic damage, as well as the poisoned condition or charmed condition. Pick whatever you want, it depends on what form you're wanting to take. Otherwise it lasts for a minute depending on your concentration. Use it to get really good at fighting. 12th level Warlocks get another ability score improvement. We'll use this to cap off our Charisma modifier since we can actually use it for our attacks when we have the Otherworldly Guise up. It also boosts your regenerative abilities. It's almost as though Warlocks are the Charisma class. For this level's invocation, Improved Pact Weapon adds 1 to the attack and damage rolls of your Pact Weapon. The whip is kind of a weaker weapon. This balances it out a little bit better. 13th level Warlocks get a 7th level Arcanum spell. Plane Shift lets you and up to 8 buddies travel to another plane, or you can make a melee spell attack against a creature to force a Charisma saving throw on them if you want to send them away from the earth. All the crystal gems need their bubbling abilities. 14th level Celestial Warlocks get Searing Vengeance, letting you recover half your HP the first time you should roll a death saving throw, and deal 2d8 plus your Charisma modifier in radiant damage to all your enemies within 30 feet of you. You blind them for a round as well. You could use this to run away, or you could use it for a stellar start to round 2. Metaphorical round 2. I hope you don't die in the first round. If you do, definitely use this to run away. 15th level Warlocks get an 8th level spell. Glibness makes the lowest you can roll on a Charisma check a 15, meaning that you're always going to be the fun and cool mom, not the boring square mom or the literally square-shaped mom. You can also get another invocation like Master of the Myriad Forms, letting you cast Alter Self at will, which is a non-illusory disguising of yourself. You could give yourself an underwater adaptation to swim and breathe underwater, or you could make a natural weapon that deals 1d6 plus your strength modifier and damage, and has +1 to attack and damage rolls. You don't really need to breathe in general. The natural weapon is bad. Honestly, the best option is just changing your shape without illusion. So just use your Pact weapon, maybe grab Eldritch Blast and Agonizing Blast. It's so much better even if it's not really in character. 16th level Warlocks get another ability score improvement. Bump your dexterity modifier up for the fights you get in when you can't turn into a super gem. 17th level Warlocks get a 9th level Arcanum slot. True Polymorph is like Polymorph, but there's no limit on what you can turn someone into, and they stay in that form if it lasts the whole duration, unless you change them into an object, then it doesn't. Use it on yourself though to become a dragon, or an aboleth, or a grung, or literally anything of challenge rating 17 or lower. It's very fun. Also worth noting, you get the HP of that creature, and when that HP goes away, you just go back to your regular HP, so you can be extremely bulky with this. 18th level Warlocks get another invocation. Eldritch Smite lets you spend a Warlock slot to add 6d8 force damage to an attack with your Pact weapon and knock a creature prone if it's huge or smaller. Believe it or not, 6d8 extra damage is a lot more than the standard d4 a whip normally puts out. 19th level Warlocks get one last ability score improvement. Cap off that dexterity to be harder to hit and to hit harder. Whip it. Whip it well. Our Capstone is the 20th level of Warlock, making you an Eldritch Master, so you can spend a minute to get your spell slots back once per short rest. Don't think of them as spell slots though, think of them as smite slots to turn the bad gems into gravel. Now that we've hit level 20, let's figure out how viable this build is. First, you've got a ton of recovery options, letting you take some real punishment to keep your baby boy safe. You've also got some consistent punishment with a magical weapon, and smites to add some extra oomph when you need to. Finally, shapeshifting at will opens up so much role-playing potential. It's a build you can get really creative with. For weaknesses, Myriad Forms is pretty bad, especially because you have Disguise Self at will and Changeling stuff. It's just not great. There's other invocations for shapeshifting and water breathing. It's just not useful. Also, where's your Eldritch Blast? Where did you put it? You're a Warlock, right? Grab that. I know that every Warlock gets it, but that's because it's really good. Finally, Warlocks just run out of spell slots really quickly in a short rest, even with Eldritch Master, especially if you're smiting every turn. But if you're smiting every turn, you probably just won the fight. Turn into something big and cool and then whip things after that ends if the thing is still alive that you're fighting. Just make sure that you're managing your resources responsibly, which should be easy. Amethyst is the responsible one, right? Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe for more. We make 2 videos every week. Join the Patreon to vote for Edward or Jacob from Twilight, and sub to Tulok and Mango for more Tulok fun.